So friends, we continue to keep an eye on the news and events on the front lines of Ukraine and Russia. And as of today, there is an increase in activity around bases, bridges, and oil facilities in the occupied territory. The Ukrainian forces are destroying anything that helps the occupiers maintain their defense in the southern regions of Ukraine. But before we start looking at the changes on the front line, please give me a like, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to stay updated on all the latest news. And let's begin with the direction from Zaporizhzhia. The Ukrainian forces are actively preparing artillery support for the liberation of territory, and currently there hasn't been any announcement regarding new assault operations, but the situation here reminds the Kherson direction. Just like in Kherson, offensive actions were conducted in limited manner initially to exert some pressure on the occupiers and demonstrate the seriousness of intentions. And the primary work was carried out by artillery and missile strikes on important targets. And this is why we see that strikes were launched yesterday on two vital bridges for the occupiers in the Changhar and Henichsk areas. And now the Russians will have to travel through Armyansk for all their movements, but the territory there will be under fire and making it difficult for Russians. Although, judging from the photos of the Changar bridge after the strike, the damage doesn't seem to be extensive yet, and perhaps the occupiers will attempt to repair it and establish a temporary pontoon crossing nearby. They have done this before. However, the Genichsk bridge has been more significantly destroyed, with damaged supports that will be harder to restore. And it is reported that without logistics from Crimea, the Russian army will start crumbling in about a month and a half, so we are waiting to see how events will further unfold. And in the Kherson direction, the Ukrainian forces have also begun to press the Russians' defense, showing them that they will soon have to retreat. Therefore, today the Ukrainian forces are actively targeting the occupiers on the left bank. The unit in the Avdiivka bridge area is gradually growing, and we can expect new offensive movements here in the near future. And it is also reported that overnight the occupiers shelled the center of Kherson, resulting in casualties and injuries. The aggressors struck the city multiple times during the night. A 59-year-old woman died under the rubble of her own home, and a 60-year-old man suffered a concussion. 8 residents were diagnosed with situational neurotic reactions, and one immobile person was hospitalized. And during the fire extinguishing, 2 rescuers were injured at the site of the enemy strike. They were taken to a medical facility with general overheating of the body. And during the third wave of shelling for the night, a 93-year-old woman sustained injuries. She was hospitalized with blast injuries and a concussion. And in the direction of Vuhledar, the occupiers are quite apprehensive about a breakthrough by the Ukrainian forces towards Volnovakha. Therefore, they are conducting shelling and offensive actions. A significant number of reserves have also been deployed to the direction today. However, despite this, the Ukrainian forces continue to push the occupiers further beyond Staromayorsk. Intense battles and heavy shelling are taking place to the south of the village, and in the past 24 hours the front line remains unchanged. And in the Avdiivka direction, offensive operations continue on the outskirts of the city. The occupiers have been attacking and even managing to breach Ukrainian forces' positions for a considerable amount of time. However, they are unable to consolidate their gains, and the Ukrainian forces maintain control of the situation. And further south in Marinka, battles are ongoing on the outskirts of the city, with shelling occurring along the entire front line. Attacks have ceased in other populated areas, and the Ukrainian forces have once again demonstrated to the occupiers that chances of a breakthrough are slim for them. With each attack, they only lose equipment and strength without making any significant advancements along the front line. And in the Bakhmut direction, the frequency of shelling remains high, and Russian forces are conducting offensive actions towards Klishchiivka. And according to reports from fighters on the ground, our units are gradually pushing the occupiers out of the outskirts of the village. However, the Russians heavily shelled the populated area to prevent the Ukrainian forces from consolidating their positions. As a result, while the Ukrainian forces are making progress, the situation remains extremely challenging. And if you look at the geolocation map, you can see how intensively the shelling of the occupied territory has been conducted over the past few days. The Ukrainian forces are doing everything they can to prevent the occupiers from holding their defense around Bakhmut. And in the areas of Kremina and Siversk, the occupiers have managed to breach once again to the filtration station located 2 kilometers from the front line near Bilohorivka. However, the Ukrainian forces continue to destroy the Russian forces there, and every attack over the past 6 months in this area has been unsuccessful, resulting in losses for the occupiers. Shelling of Dibrova is ongoing as well, but the occupiers haven't yet dared to launch an offensive there. Despite having a large amount of equipment and reserves, it seems they are conserving their strengths for defense. And in the Svatovo area, the number of shelling incidents is increasing, but no offensive actions are being carried out, and the front line remains unchanged. However, in the Zaporizhzhia region, the occupiers have initiated attacks. They are launching these attacks with immediate support from their equipment and managing to breach up to 4.5 kilometers from the furthest front line. They are attempting to push the Ukrainian forces out of positions in the direction of Kupyansk. Yet it seems the chances of establishing a foothold here are quite slim, and for now it appears that the battles are ongoing, and over the past day the front line has remained unchanged. And in Latvia, it has been reported that Belarusian border guards assisted a group of migrants in illegally crossing the border fence and entering Latvian territory. So let's examine the situation in more detail. On Sunday, August 6, another provocation occurred on the state border between Latvia and Belarus, where 4 individuals illegally crossed the border by overcoming bareback wire in the border fence. And during border control using technical means, border guards from the Kaplava detachment noticed several individuals who had illegally entered Latvian territory by breaching the fence. And representatives of Belarusian authorities helped the illegal immigrants breach the fence by cutting the barbed wire and later sealed the opening in the fence to prevent the men who had illegally entered Latvia from returning to Belarus, and all border violators were apprehended. And furthermore, today Igor Chernyov, the head of the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine's permanent delegation to the NATO Parliamentary Assembly, announced that key parliamentary factions have reached a consensus on providing Ukraine with the long-range Taurus missiles. And according to him, these missiles have a range of 500 kilometers and are capable of covering all occupied territories, including the southern coast of Crimea. And we worked with German parliamentaries for a long time to form a support group, and finally the deal has come to fruition, he emphasized. And he added that he is awaiting an official decision from Germany. And here is some very good news for you as well. As it became known, 22 more Ukrainian Armed Forces soldiers have been released from captivity, including 2 officers, enlisted personnel, and sergeants. Head of the presidential office, Andriy Yermak, announced this on his Telegram. Yermak stated that all the freed individuals will undergo a course of physical and psychological rehabilitation, regeneration, and will receive necessary medical treatment with the support of medical professionals. According to him, the goal is to fulfill the president's mission and bring all our people back. Dmytro Lubinets, the Ukrainian Parliament's Commissioner for Human Rights, added that among the released are wounded individuals, and in total 2,598 Ukrainians have returned home so far. This is the 48th exchange that has been successfully carried on. And that's all for now. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.